Hello, welcome to What Even Is This? Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the video.
So what is your formal education background?
I was at UCLA in political science and then Harvard Law School.
You wouldn't consider yourself an expert in sociology?
I mean, I don't consider sociology a particularly expert field, but go ahead. I think I'm able to read a sociological study.
What I'm getting at is that you're not considered an expert in sociology, psychology, gender studies.
If you want to take issue with the argument, I would urge you not to use the argument from authority, which is somebody has a PhD by their name, they know what they're talking about. That's a dumb argument. I don't need a 7-year degree in sociology, no bullshit when I hear it.
You're also offering kind of an unqualified opinion on a lot of these topics.
See, again, you're just making the argument from authority. I don't think slapping a PhD from Ferris State next to your name makes you an expert in all things in the field in which you propose to speak. Either my argument's good or my argument's bad. Citing to my credentials is a really bad way of making an argument.
But ma'am,
Don't assume my gender.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
don't assume your gender. What are your pronouns then?
Zay and Z and princess.
Princess? Damn.
What are you?
I'm a cisgendered man.
What does that
cis mean?
So that means if you were born a woman and therefore you still identify as a woman, so you're a cisgendered woman, I would say.
And that's because of my physical femaleness.
You identify with how you
What am I?
originally. Well, I assume you're a cisgendered
I'm not a
man,
cis anything,
if I may assume.
I'm not a cis anything. I'm just a man.
Well, no, but you're a cisgendered man.
No, I'm not a cisgendered anything.
But hang on.
What does cis mean?
Well, that means that you were born the way that you identify
No,
now.
I'm just born a man.
But someone who transitions.
Why are you
to be a
insisting
man.
on calling me something I'm not?
Well, you can refer to yourself as just a man if you like, but
Most people identify as male or female, man or woman.
that's right, the vast majority of people. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other people who identify differently.
There are
lots
100
of
different
other identities.
genders on this BBC list, apparently.
You can be racist against certain groups. And yes, you might be a sellout. You might be whatever.
Oh my god!
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that I know that if I don't agree with you, I'm a sellout and I'm not good enough for my Latinos and I'm not good enough for my father, for my grandfather that escaped Cuba. Thank you.
Victim groups like these people. I know you're so oppressed, my dears. I know life is so hard for you. You have to live in the richest, most equitable, most just country in the history of the world. You have to get a college education. You have to voluntarily go to lectures. It's so awful. I can't imagine that, the people who are in war-torn nations, they must truly pity you. Goodbye then.
There was another tweet that said, the Democratic Party is comprised of racist white liberals.
That is correct.
Am I a racist white liberal?
Well, let's go back and let's say, I will say this, that many people in the party are not aware of their own racism. Let's go back to an early part of this conversation where you said to me, are you concerned about the color in the White House? Why would you ask me that question?
Because you speak about black issues.
No, but,
and
why would you ask me?
But
But let's get to really the nucleus of this. Why did you ask me that question today?
Because I'm
why did you feel that
interested
I
in
needed
your
to be
perspective.
concerned about that?
Because you're bringing a whole group of young African American leaders to the White House.
Okay, so this is something that I talk about often, is that in many ways, white liberals don't realize that you put on that, the racism and the conversations that we have
So you're saying I'm a racist?
You haven't let me finish my statement, you keep cutting me off.
Go ahead.
Okay? The emphasis that you place is always on having a discussion about race, okay? You guys are insistent on having a conversation about race and telling us that we should see, and implying that we should see race everywhere, and I don't agree with that. If you don't look at me according to the color of my skin, you would simply ask me how I thought that Trump was doing as a president. But instead, you try to drum up a conversation that's surrounded by race by asking me, are there enough black people in the White House?
You're bringing a whole group of young black leaders to the White House.
You see color,
so
I
clearly
don't.
That's something.
Are you happy being that way?
Oh yeah, my life is better because I can be close with another man. I could walk hand in hand with him, and I'm feeling a incredibly close and good connection, but I'm not worried about somebody saying I'm gay.
I don't think you're gay, but you seem to be more woman than you are man. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I disagree.
Because all of your qualities are that of a woman. You don't have any manly qualities.
Do you know what the leading cause of death for pregnant people is?
Pregnant people?
Mm-hmm.
Mothers? women?
If you'd like to call them mothers, not all of them are mothers, but if you'd like to call them that.
What are they if they're not mothers?
They're pregnant people.
What people other than mothers are pregnant?
Does it bother you to use inclusive language?
I prefer to use precise language.
It's interesting because you come into this conversation, trying to hold this moral superiority, but then
I try to be moral when I can, but I...
Right, but when I use inclusive language, which it only takes a couple extra syllables to use inclusive language.
To include
and
who?
It seems to include people who don't, identify as women but can become pregnant.
Sure.
So what you're basically saying is rejecting English is rejecting the Constitution.
I'm saying rejecting a common culture in the United States renders the Constitution meaningless. In the case of the English language, it literally renders it meaningless. You wouldn't be able to read it.
What if someone translated for me?
I'm a little skeptical of that translator. Obviously, I speak multiple languages. I assume people in this room speak multiple languages. I love reading literature in other languages. I like going to certain bakeries and speaking in French or speaking in Italian. That's a wonderful thing. The question is, how do we conduct ourselves as a country? How do we conduct our systems of government? How do we conduct diplomacy? How do we conduct the law? Beyond just the question of language, which is really a symbol of so many other cultural questions, what do we have in common? If we don't have a shared... We've already established that American is not a particular ethnicity. American is not a particular race. There have been so many different races and ethnicities that have been involved in the settling, founding, and establishment of the country. So if it's not a race, if it's not an ethnicity, and if we don't have a shared language, and if we don't have a shared culture, and if we don't have shared food, and if we don't have shared clothing, and if we don't have shared music, and if we don't have shared movies, and if we don't have shared anything, then
let's use our quiet voices, please. Calm down. Stop acting like a child, and I will.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.